Welcome to Bunch Formation, your newest favorite college football podcast. I am Chris Vannini, and I believe that lakes are infinitely better than oceans.
Terrible take. Chris, you're in the pocket of big inner tube. I'm David Ubben, and all I got to say to our listeners is this. Listen, you want me gone? You're tired of winning? You can send me on the way, because that's all we've done here at Bunch Formation is win.
We're going to get into that Dabo quote, but first, David, you ever been to, you're not much of a Midwest guy. What do you think of the Great Lakes?
So I was born in Minnesota, but Chris, unfortunately, Michigan is actually one of the states I have not crossed off. I'm in the 40s somewhere, but like
Really?
Wyoming, Michigan, and a lot of the like north of New York are kind of like the last ones I haven't really gone to. But I'm in that high 30s to 40s range. I've never been to Michigan. I feel bad about this.
The Great Lakes are the Great Lakes for a reason. I am in Michigan this week with family for my grandma's funeral, and had a bunch of people over, family that we haven't seen in a while, and we went up to our cottage. It's in Canada. Spent today on the beach, and the water was just freaking perfect, man. Like, there's no salt, there's no jellyfish, there's no sharks, just minnows, and like there are bad lakes for sure. But lakes are so much better than oceans, like without a doubt, to me.
No, have they considered
disagree?
rebranding to the OK Lakes? Because they're fine. It's whatever.
What's better about an ocean?
The sound, the waves. Also, I'm a big surfing guy. Like, Chris,
You're a surfing guy?
Oh yeah, it's way easier than it looks. If it was just up to me, I would move to a beach town and just surf all day. But unfortunately,
Where have you gone? Where have you gone surfing? You
Australia, LA, South Carolina, actually, Atlantic City.
I had no idea about
Ocean City. Yeah, there you go. Like,
I did not.
I mean, again, I live nowhere near an ocean, so I don't.
No, you don't.
Really do it. Oh, at Hawaii, I went surfing in off the coast of Oahu. There you go.
I've done that same one in Hawaii. Yeah,
it's very fun. It is way easier than it looks to like get up, but it's very fun. And that the feeling when you actually catch a wave, you really can't duplicate it. It is pretty incredible. But my opportunities, especially now that my life is more complicated than it was when I was in my early 20s, are few and far between. So whenever I get an opportunity, I like to. But yeah, I mean, if I could just like surf all day, I would do that. I had
no idea of any of this. This is fascinating. we'll get into that later. But we got a week 4 preview here for you folks. We got a ton of big games to talk about. Again, not like the top 10 marquee matchups, but a ton of games that are a big deal to the real fans, stuff that's going to set the tone for conference play. I'll be at Auburn, Oklahoma. That's an afternoon game. I'm looking forward to that. Dave, you're going to be at home on your couch.
Couching it again.
Right?
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. I don't like, people kind of ask about this. Like, I don't want to be on the couch every weekend, but especially after the first weekend that I had like some time to breathe. Like, I like to go to between like 6 and 7 games a year, preferably not all in one weekend. But like that, like kind of every other week kind of thing is usually where I like to go, and preferably not night games an hour and a half away from the airport where I need to fly back. I did 2 night games at LSU last year. It almost killed me. So
yeah, I had that last Oklahoma Michigan game, night game, 2.5 hour drive back at 4 a.m. That was the problem. But thankfully, afternoon game will be fine. Check out the show notes for timestamps. If you want to jump ahead to something else in the show, please send all your feedback and emails to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. We are Bunch Formation on all the socials. Get some interesting comments on Twitter. I'm sorry, on TikTok. It's always fun checking those out.
I've never been on TikTok, Chris. Do I need to be on TikTok?
It really depends what you like to do. Like, my TikTok feed is just like 90s kids things and Mario Kart and wrestling and good music.
What if I don't love lip syncing or dancing? Is there any reason to be on TikTok for a middle-aged man?
No, not really.
All right, but I feel good about that. I'm glad I got the Chris seal of approval. So for now, I will not have a Twitter account. I did create an Instagram account that I don't actually use for some.
No, that's why I don't tag you in anything
this summer.
But
I don't use it, but I do have one. So shout out to social media.
Please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't yet, we read every 5-star review on the show. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel where we're doing some more stuff there as well. And we have a new 5-star review from someone we talked about on the last show, Will McCormick, who says, easily my favorite college football pod. Ran into David this weekend during brunch hours. Nice guy. Love the work you guys put in. It truly makes my weekends feel special. Y'all get me hyped for my 10-hour college football marathon every Saturday. Keep up the phenomenal work.
These are our people, Chris. The 30,000-foot college football folks. The 1 a.m. spiritual Pac-12 after dark. I like a little Mountain West after dark. I'm not crazy about Big Ten after dark, but these are our people, Chris.
That's the guy you met at Famous Toastery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We also got an email here from Will. Hey, Chris and David, just wanted to write in, let you know how much we appreciate both of you and your coverage of the game via your writing in the podcast. As a Temple fan, we rarely get mentioned by major media outlets, so I appreciate Chris in particular, who recognized their improvement this year and has had some good articles and coverage about my Owls in the past. Yeah, it didn't go well for Oklahoma last week. It didn't go well for Temple last week against Oklahoma, but we're still on the KC Keeler train right now.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, we mentioned this on the pod. Like, I got to go to American Media Days this year for the first time. I've wanted to go for a long time. I really enjoyed it, and one of the coaches that I spent a good chunk of time with that I did come away impressed with was Casey Keeler. Obviously, I'm familiar with him. You know, being in Texas, I pay attention to kind of what's going on with the FCS. Well aware of Sam Houston and then him coming up and all that stuff. But you can smell it on coaches, right, Coach Chris? You when you talk to guys, you can kind of get a sense for like, okay, this guy's pretty good. This guy's kind of a BS artist. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. I feel like you can get a sense. And I came away pretty impressed with Casey Keeler. Not a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah. You know, it was fun to talk with at American Media Days, for real, is Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, Trent's an interesting guy. He's
a good talk.
Listen, I spent a good chunk of time down at UAB last year. You know, talked to Trent. I wasn't bored. It was an interesting conversation. I'll give him that.
Yeah, we're gonna mention UAB later on the show as well. So with that, before we get to the game previews, we got a couple other things to talk about in college football, and that is where we will start with the media scrum. And first off, a little self-promotion here. There's a new SMU documentary coming out. It's basically a sequel to the 30 for 30 Pony Excess. It's called Thunder On, and I am in it. It will air this Sunday, 3:00 Eastern on ESPN. It's about SMU coming back from the death penalty, getting into the ACC and making the college football playoff last year. Our buddy Sam Kahn wrote a story about it when it was announced last week. I have not seen it. I've only seen clips of it. Other people who have seen it, including Sam, told me that I'm in it a lot. So I'm looking forward to that. I saw you in the
promos. You're looking svelte, Chris. You're looking good.
Yeah, I've got the jacket on and everything. I went down to do the interview this summer, and it turned around. They turned it around in like 5-6 months. Very short turnaround compared to those things that usually take a year. But check it out. We'll talk about it next week after we watch it. But I'm in it, and it's pretty cool. So I'll be fine.
Chris, has any school improved their lot in life more in the last, we'll say, 10 years than SMU?
I mean, what about 5 years? Even
well,
really,
5 years for sure. My question is 10 because I think you can make a pretty strong case for TCU and Utah in that round of realignment in like the 2010, 2011s. But since then, it's probably SMU. You know, getting a seat at the adults table, and then obviously last year taking advantage of it. So
what was that year? June Jones, the year he quit on SMU.
What 11 maybe 11 or 12. That was one of the worst.
2014. That 2014 team went 1-11. So yeah, I mean, 10 years. You go from 1-11 to in the ACC in the playoff.
Chad Morris got him going a little bit, and then
he did.
You know,
Sonny took it higher, and
Brett's getting after it. So anyway,
all right. Next topic. Should Notre Dame be ranked? This is like a big thing right now. You generally don't like to talk about rankings. I do because I rank all 100.
Every now and then something gets me going though.
So I had them at number 21. Our AP voter friend Ralph Russo had them at 15, I think. And they ended up in the AP poll at 24, which is actually kind of lower than I thought. If you want to tell me they shouldn't be ranked, I'm not going to like totally disagree with you, but my reasoning is this. They are 0-2, but both of those losses are by a combined 4 points to two teams that are undefeated that I have in the top 10, and both those losses came in the final minute. Like, you cannot lose games closer than Notre Dame has lost them. And if the whole point of wanting to contextualize rankings and not just say you won, you're up, you lose, you're down, then Notre Dame being ranked is totally fair. Not that if they keep losing games, it's obviously going to change. They've only played 2 games, and they played pretty well in both of those games against good opponents. They just haven't won them. So Notre Dame being ranked, I do not think is a problem. It changes week to week. It's week 3, week 4. People can relax. But this became like a big thing for people to be upset about because Notre Dame gets the benefit of the doubt. But like you got to contextualize those losses, you know?
Watch the games. I mean, listen, Chris, there's a swath of the college football fan base. It's like, they haven't beat anybody. It's like, yeah, we know, but watch the games. Like, they're clearly one of the better teams. I mean, I would have them like 18 because, yes, they haven't actually done anything. But you watch them, it's like, this is a pretty good team. They're flawed. A lot of teams are flawed, but they're really good on the lines. I think CJ Carr is going to grow into something really good. He's already serviceable and can make some plays for you. I just don't know how you can watch those games and come away with it thinking like, oh, we got to get these guys out of the rankings. Like, how many teams above them in the rankings would lose those 2 games? I think that list is pretty long. So, like, you're right. At some point, you got to do something and you got to win some games. But close losses, if you're talking about, putting a team in the playoff, okay, I'll listen to. I don't care about if your best resume point is a loss. But when you've only played 2 games against 2 top 10-ish teams and lost close, one of which was on the road, of course they should be ranked.
Like, if Notre Dame instead of that bye week, if they had beat Indiana State 65-0, like would we be fine with that? Is that a data point that means they should be in versus not be in? That's the only thing I don't get. Now, I did put them. I didn't agree with Ralph leaving them so high. When you get a second loss, you start to lose benefit of the doubt for me in my rankings. So they're down to 21 to the point where they can't just back their way into the playoff. Like, it's not like, oh, other teams lose, they're eventually just going to slide up by the nature of not losing, so theoretically. So I got them down in the spot where they can get back into the playoff mix, but they're going to have to win all their games, and they're going to need some help somewhere else. So that's our take.
Notre Dame's getting in. It's not going to be debatable, Chris.
We seem to mostly agree. I also think interesting, like, there's a lot more public shaming about AP ballots this year than I feel like we've ever had before. And some of it is fair. Some people pointing out like, hey, the USF thing, the USF thing last week, the Florida thing last week, and the South Carolina this week. Some people had them top 10 or moved them up despite the bad loss to Vanderbilt. Like, those are things that are fair to criticize a voter over. Notre Dame, I don't think is a fair thing to criticize a voter.
No, like I think you could. Like, if I'm sitting there, I don't have a top 25 down. I don't really think about these things that deeply. I would have Notre Dame over South Carolina. Okay, you beat up what looks like a pretty bad Virginia Tech team, and then you got punked at home by what I think is a good Vanderbilt team that we might still be underrating. But you got punked at home. You didn't lose to a top 10 team close at home. So, I think it's partly because there was so much hyper awareness after what was an actual bad ballot after the Florida USF game. I think there's a hyper awareness that, like, when the graphics come out, you can see who put what. I think there's more people combing through it than usual because of how. And I think too, like, some of this, Chris, is like the attention economy as well. Like,
you're not on TikTok. Online, you're not on TikTok, but people on TikTok are posting pictures of the voters and calling them out and stuff like that. Again, some fair criticism, some not. It's just, when you have some people saying the entire thing is illegitimate, like, as if this has always been the case. People just didn't notice it. Now, again, I'll say this again. The reason there's 60-something voters is so the mistakes and the outliers aren't there. The mistakes and outliers don't affect the big picture. I do think it's a real concern. I do hope that as a result of this, AP voters are not making the mistake of some of those we've seen. But the ones, if you're just upset about where somebody is like Notre Dame, where you can make a legitimate case. Like come on, that doesn't illegitimize the poll.
I don't
It's
know,
the other
Chris.
ones that are very concerned.
I think over the last week, it's become very clear that if most of your content is built to enrage your audience, there's a big market out there for that. And I feel like maybe you can do well online if you do those kinds of things.
So there was one person who called the AP poll rage bait, and I was thinking to myself, no, you're the one turning it into the rage thing. A lot of these voters don't talk about their ballots, and maybe they should.
No.
Some of them don't turn it into content. Some of them do. Like Ralph writes his thing, and that's fine. Just a very weird. I worry a little bit the way online mobs can go.
Mm-hmm.
Being upset about where one team is ranked in week 3 of the college football season is not the time to be sending your online armies against people. It is a real problem. You can criticize those voters.
Chris,
they do need to be better, but don't take it too far.
I did care about the ratings or the rankings when they were factored into the BCS, when you had the coaches poll.
Yes.
As soon as the playoff, basically once the playoff era came and we had the committee, like I already didn't care that much about the top. Now I really don't care because, again, I can't emphasize this enough. It doesn't have anything to do with anything, and it does not influence the committee. I do not believe that that's true at all.
No, all you care about is the Athletic 136, which everybody can read on Monday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that is what it is. Anyway, moving on. Brian Kelly has apologized for his little spat with a reporter after the game that we talked about. That's fine, whatever. Well, we got an email from listener Mike Dodonna who says, your defense of Brian Kelly would be better if coaches didn't always preach keeping your control under pressure. I am sure that if an LSU player lost his cool and cost them a penalty, Kelly would be yelling at him about it. Why does the coach, a grown man, to paraphrase Mike Gundy, get a pass? You kind of made this point, didn't you, Ubben?
Yeah, it's a fair criticism. I didn't really give him a pass necessarily. I think some people did. Listen, I think if you are right,
I kind of did. To be fair, maybe, I kind of did.
But ultimately, if you are correct, whether you are, getting out of control, whether you're screaming at a ref, whether you're berating a reporter, if you are right and have, I don't want to say moral high ground, but if you're correct, I'll give you a little bit more grace. But like I said on Saturday night, like my main criticism was you took away from your team's victory. More people are talking about Brian Kelly, right or not, which he was right. Like, I get why he was frustrated with the offense, even though the offense has been struggling and it hasn't been good. Like, the conversations about Brian Kelly berating a reporter, not LSU beats another quality opponent.
To be fair, it's because the game sucked and there was nothing to talk about other than DJ.
Well, why'd the game suck, Chris? Because LSU's offense
couldn't do anything.
One offensive touchdown and 5 picks. 5 picks from DJ and you scored 20 points. It's not great.
Yeah. All right, another bit of news. Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt quarterback, says he will not play for a 7th year next season. He announced this basically because his lawyer in court, in the lawsuit over him getting these extra years that he has gotten, said they may consider also challenging the redshirt rule, which would give all players 5 full NCAA years. But Diego... which would imply that Diego would then be going for a 7th year, but Diego tweeted, Cap, this is my last year, handshake emoji.
This was confusing to me. Why not? I don't get why he wouldn't, because some people online might be tweeting at him like, get a job. His current job, I don't know what he makes. I'm sure it's in the 7 digits. Whatever job you get is not going to pay you that. I don't know why you wouldn't. If you can get it, I don't know why you wouldn't play a 7th year, especially because he seems to be having a lot of fun, and Vandy's got juice for the first time in a long time, and he's the reason why.
So that is the that's the whole basis of the lawsuit, which is these. So originally Diego Pavia, he played 2 years of junior college, and the original lawsuit was about, hey, this junior college years should not count toward NCAA years, which he did get an injunction for. Courts have been very inconsistent about that ruling. In some places they've allowed it, some places they haven't.
I'm not even sure how I feel about that. It's complicated.
Diego was able to get that. And then when I talked to his lawyer when this thing first started, and I said, are you going to go for all the years you can get? And he said, possibly, but we're just going for this first one now. Separately, a class action lawsuit was filed by other Vanderbilt players and some other players challenging, with the same lawyer, challenging the redshirt rule. The redshirt rule being players have 4 years to play 5. They get 5 years to play 4 seasons is the idea. One of those years can be redshirted. It used to be you couldn't play a snap. Now you can play 4 games and still get the redshirt. And so they're trying to say you should just get 5 years to play 5 years. And no waivers, no redshirts, no none of that stuff, which the NCAA has talked about possibly doing. So that may or may not get there. We'll track these really boring lawyerly updates as they come. But the news here, Diego Pavia not coming back for a 7th season. And like you said, I've been leaving money on the table, to be fair.
I am skeptical. Let me just say, I am skeptical when the rubber hits the road that if forced to go play on a practice squad with the Jags or go sell insurance, he won't want to strap it up again and make 7 figures.
So
I don't know. This seems like a good deal to me.
So when Quinn Ewers went pro and got drafted in the 7th round, I talked about this exact thing with Sam Khan because Quinn Ewers had another year of eligibility, but he could have transferred to Miami, to wherever, and gotten 7 figures to go play quarterback again. Instead, he goes to the 7th round where he was absolutely making less now in the NFL than he would have in college. Yes, you actually get a pay cut going to the NFL now for a lot of players. The old joke about Eric Dickerson back in the day, it's actually true now. And Sam was like, I think Quinn just kind of wants to move on with his life. Like just go to the next part of his life. Playing for Texas was his dream, and he did that, and he didn't want to go play anywhere else. And that may be the case for Diego Pavia, who may just may be done. So we'll see. Another bit of news, which thought was going to be bigger news, but it's not quite yet. We will now have just one single transfer portal window instead of 2. This is something I've written about a lot. It's been making its way through the NCAA process. And on Wednesday, the NCAA announced the spring transfer portal is gone. There will be one single transfer portal window. But when that single transfer portal window will be is still to be determined. The initial proposal was a 10-day period in January, from January 2nd to 11th this year, after the season for most schools. But because players and athletes have kind of pushed back on that length and date and when it is remains to be determined. The Big Ten has wanted that single portal to be in the spring. Is this going to be some other time in January? Is it going to be December? It's not really clear yet. We got kind of a few weeks to figure that out. But no 2 portals, one single portal, which is the way basketball and winter sports do it. David, what do you think?
I think the portal is probably fake, and I think somebody's going to challenge this and win.
Well, it's a
good idea. I think it's a good idea, and I like the January 10 days. I think it is the best of a bunch of really bad options. But I think when somebody is in May and they lose a starting job and they want to leave, I think they're going to lawyer up and win. Because when did the players agree? When was the CBA agreed to this portal window? Was that? I don't know if that happened. I don't know.
So that's the thing with all of this kind of stuff is that does the NCAA have the power to make decisions or not? Some courts have said
they can try.
Well, no, for all the jokes about the NCAA is just only losing in court, that is not true. We know about Diego Pavia and a couple of other players. Most of the guys suing for more eligibility are not winning. The NCAA is actually winning pretty often on these things where courts are ruling that it's not antitrust because it's a non-commercial entity is what college sports are. That's the ruling. So will these things eventually make their way up to the Supreme Court? Possibly. If the SCORE Act in Congress ever happens, that in there gives the NCAA the power to make eligibility rules. So we'll see. And we also have had players like Xavier Lucas, went from Wisconsin to Miami by unenrolling at Wisconsin, enrolling at Miami, and he's out there playing. Now Wisconsin is suing over this, but we'll see. These players are also now signing contracts with schools, revenue sharing contracts. So there may be other stuff involved in there. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but basically most people we talked to said single portal it's logical for the sport. You don't have 2 free agencies in really any types of sports. And most of the guys leaving in the second portal are the guys trying to get extra money in another spot. The guys who don't get the playing time and leave, those are typically your winter portal guys. The guys who didn't play all year, they want to go somewhere else. Yes, yeah, the spring portal, especially spring portal, like the last couple of years, is getting lower and lower in terms of the amount of talent that's in there. Schools are kind of doing a better job of understanding what that is.
And I will say, getting rid of the spring portal window, I do feel some amount of sympathy for the people running the collectives who are trying to figure out this budget stuff. And you talk to people. I wrote about this a little bit last year with the Ole Miss story, but you hear this all the time. You sign a guy in December, he has a great spring. Somebody calls him, the spring window opens up. Guy hasn't played a game, and you're back at the negotiating table with him after not playing it. Very common. And you just have to pay. They basically have you. So, that's a frustrating system that I'm not sure serves a lot of folks.
Or you end up leaving in a very public breakup and end up at UCLA, where you're now getting sacked every other play. That would be Nico Iamaleava, which was a spring portal situation. So we will see on that. Pretty big news in the player personnel world. We'll see exactly what those specific dates are, but I think the basic idea of you do it in January and not December. So hopefully your players will play through the season and maybe play in their bowl game, and you keep it separate.
Avoid the Pavia situations too.
You keep it separate from signing day. You keep it separate from most, but not all, of the college football playoff. Then you do it in January, and you have your team set as you go into spring practice, and you don't have to redo your roster after spring. I think in general, everybody agrees that's good for the sports, even if it's not best, maybe for the individual.
If it's January 2nd, provided that the first is not a Sunday, how many teams are still playing? 4?
Yeah, because the quarterfinals are on New Year's Day.
Yeah, quarterfinals will be New Year's. So that's, that's about as good as you're going to get.
And we don't need to shed a tear for the teams that are in the semifinals.
They'll be fine.
They're fine. They seem to be doing it. All right. And last one here on the news segment, something you referenced at the top of the show. Dabo Swinney gave one of his classic Dabo Swinney soliloquies when asked about
old Clemson, Mr. Powell.
Yeah, when asked about the criticism for the team starting 1-2 and not even looking good in that win. And just here's part of his quote. Quote, "Perspective is important. If they want me gone, they're tired of winning, they can send me on the way, because that's all we've done is win. So if they're tired of winning, we've won this league 8 out of the last 10 years. Is that not good? I'm just asking, is that good? I don't know if that's good or not, to win your league 8 out of 10 years.
I think he knows if that's good or not.
To go to the playoff 7 out of 10 years, to be in 4 national championships, win it twice. Yeah, we're a little down right now. Take your shots, but I got a long memory in case you all don't know. We'll be all right. We'll bounce back. This is a program built to last. Always has been, always will be. And if you don't believe in us because we've lost 2 games down to the last straight, you didn't believe in us anyway, so it don't matter." David, I don't think anyone's actually calling for Dabo Swinney to be fired. Am I wrong about that?
I think sometimes the message board stuff breaks through. And Dabo, over the years, has shown to have a little bit of a thin skin. He famously said, if the players are going to get paid, he's going to go find something else to do. I think he's still Clemson's coach. I have to double check that. But last time I checked, he's still there, and the players should get paid. He's probably not wrong, but I don't think reasonable minds, which perhaps are in short supply around Clemson this time of year when you're sitting there at 1-2, with 2 okay loss. I mean, neither of those losses are embarrassing necessarily, but you haven't played well all year, and the Troy thing in the middle doesn't help you. But he's not wrong, but I just don't know that that's the message that's going to help you really in any way at this point.
Like you want to say this the last couple of this Clemson team was supposed to be the one that proved Dabo Swinney right.
Yes.
That he kept guys, that he wasn't losing guys to the portal, that he did have an experienced quarterback and defensive line and everything coming in. And he even took a couple of guys from the portal. This was supposed to be the culmination of it. Our Matt Baker colleague wrote a story about that. And it turns out it's not true. You and I both picked Clemson to reach the national championship because we still believed in the strategy that Dabo had. This is not working this year. Now, could they run the table in the ACC, finish 10-2 and make it? Yeah, it's not done, but 2 games
they've looked horrible in 3 games.
They've not looked good. In your quarterback, who I picked first in our Heisman draft, does not at all look like that. You still can't run the ball all that great, and you just had Georgia Tech punch in the mouth. So, yeah, people can be people can criticize you also without necessarily saying they want you fired. Yeah, you're doing a good job, but you raised the bar. You're now not meeting the bar that you raised. And that's what happens with a lot of successful coaches.
No, the schedule's been tough, but through 3 games, this team has as much experienced talent as anybody in the country. 61st in yards per play offensively, 61st defensively, 84th in yards per play offensively.
They have.
I don't know why, but it has been bad. They just Cade has not looked good. It's not, you can't do all that and say, well, but Antonio Williams is hamstring. That's just not how this works.
They have not
beat the ball. They can't really get it vertical. It's been bad.
They have not beaten a great team in years. That's the thing. You beat SMU, but SMU's not Penn State, Oregon, Alabama, that type of stuff. So anyway, and with that, we will move into the mailbag where we have a couple questions. First one from Jackson Tucker. Huge fan of the podcast and also love the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Thank you. As a diehard Mizzou fan, I'm thrilled we beat Kansas. Pavia looks really good so far, and our running back and our wide receivers. I think our defense could be really good too. Obviously, I think we're a sleeper for the playoff, but I want to hear what you guys think. Keep up the great work. MIZ. David, as the Mizzou alum, what do you think of how Missouri's looked so far this year?
They've been pretty good. I didn't know what to make of them. You're hitting reset a lot. We talked about Ahmad Hardy. I've liked that. Who does Mizzou keep paying off to get these SEC schedules? It feels like every single year you're like, I don't think they're that good, but they might win 9 or 10 games.
Not only that,
they've scheduled okay. So you got South Carolina, who you're catching at the best possible time when they're kind of licking their wounds. They might not have Lenore Sellers. Then you got UMass. You get Bama at home, obviously a very winnable game. At Auburn, that's in the SEC. That's about as good as it gets, and it feels like this has been a annual occurrence for Missouri. I don't know how they keep getting these schedules.
No Texas, no Georgia. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I really like Ahmad Hardy. By the way, he has looked very good. I think was he the one who came from? Yeah. So
Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, ULM. That's what I was thinking. So they're looking good. Pavia. Our Missouri friends keep saying, when are we getting on the Pavia Heisman campaign? I think. I
want to see.
I think we got to wait for we'll wait for the Alabama game to kind of get a real sense of that.
Well, I just think Mizzou last year, they were kind of doing this same thing, and they go to A&M and just get absolutely smoked, and nobody really took them seriously the rest of the year, and I can't really blame them necessarily. No. And so I think people are kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop on Mizzou, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I think that A&M game last year really hurt their street cred pretty significantly because A&M was not a great team, and that was 30-0 at one point. It was, that game was over. So
yeah. All right, question from Andrew Klinkenbeard. As someone who attends the majority of my school's home and away games, I find it difficult to be able to keep up with the rest of the college football world, as most of my Saturdays are spent between driving DFW and Waco, presumably a Baylor fan. What are ways y'all have found to keep up with the rest of the college football besides just box score watching? And considering that I am traveling this weekend and you are staying home, David, you go first. What is your typical home setup on a Saturday?
So on the Saturday, I'll go multi-view on my large screen in the living room, and then I'll bring my office TV out to the living room. I'll have a second game on that. So that's 5 games pretty easily that I can kind of glance around at. I'll have audio on the big game, whatever that is. And then I got another laptop where if I need to boot up Peacock or if there's something else that I don't really want to mess around with apps, then I'll do that. And then I'll be working, and if there's something that pops up, I'll have my phone. So that's for home base. I can kind of see everything. You're never going to have too few for a window there. But I will say the thing that jumps out to me about this is, the Big 8 is gone. The Big 10 is what it is. The SEC is more geographically sprawling than you would think. So, Baylor fans, if you're ranking the number of places or the number of programs where you can be a fan of and still drive to a good chunk of away games, like the Big 12 is kind of like the last league where it's super easy to get to a bunch of games. Like the SEC in some ways, depending on who you're a fan of and what your schedule looks like that year, you can. But the Big 12, you should be privileged, Andrew, because there are a lot of places that you can't really drive to away games. I grew up in Arkansas. The nearest team was like Ole Miss. That's like 7 hours away. Like you can't go to away games. So I get your issue, but count your blessings, my guy.
So I will be driving to Norman on Saturday. And what I will do is I will play a YouTube TV multi-view on my phone, which I can't believe you can do, but you can. And I will just listen to the audio on the drive up. So it gives me the 4 games. It never gives you the 4 games you want, but it'll give you usually 3 games that you want and then something else. And when you get to a commercial, I'll switch over to another one and I'll just kind of rotate. But there's usually one game I'll try to focus in on. But and then otherwise, like just being on Twitter a lot and having lists of it's mostly college football stuff on Saturdays for me. So following a bunch of reporters and seeing what's going on. Oh, something's going on in that game. Let me jump over to that one. And then I use the Score app on my phone. That's my favorite score checking app.
I tried it. I don't like it that much. I do like the Apple Sports app is pretty strong, I think.
I do, but Apple doesn't let you set the live. You have to set the live event pop-up thing like for every game. So the Score does it on its own.
I don't want push notifications.
Don't worry about it. No, it's not a push. It's the live thing on your screen, so you get the score without having to open it. It's a really nice feature, but Apple, it's very frustrating, like for baseball and stuff like that. But I think this is a good question because, like we said, you said at the beginning of the show, like we are people who watch 10 hours of college football and the 30,000 foot view and a lot of stuff, but most college football fans aren't like that. They
watch their team, and then like if there's a top 10, top 15 game, they'll watch some of that.
Yes, which is part of the reason why certain TV executives want consolidation in the sport, because then you have more bigger games among those groups of people. So it is a difficult sport to follow without being an absolute sicko about it. So that is fair. But I would recommend, I like the Score app. I think the new ESPN app is good too. You can get a lot of highlights in there. And then, I mean, as someone who ranks every team, I do box score watch on Sunday. I look at everything. I got to see what everybody did, whether they won or lost. And there's always a couple things that I miss, but I put all that into a note. And that's why we talk about as many games as we can on this podcast, both the preview and the reactions episode, to try to give you guys some information and some insight for stuff you might have missed, because there's a lot of freaking games.
Quick side thought, Chris, on this subject. Have you seen any of the red zone backlash this year a little bit? Not the commercials, just the existence and the fandom. That like if you like
I've only seen the commercial part. Why? What are you talking about?
I've seen like a lot of people talking about like, oh, like red zone is for idiots, or like you're not a real football fan if you're like red zone is one of the great innovations of our time. Like, listen, I like the NFL. I don't have really a team. I don't really get like emotionally involved. I will be working on Sundays and I like watching red zone. I track my fantasy team, all that stuff. Red zone is incredible. I pay for it. I love it. I don't want to pay for the whole Sunday ticket because I don't have a team. And I don't particularly want to watch all the games, but the backlash I've seen out there of like red zone sucks. No, red zone is incredible. I will not stand for any red zone.
You're not a real slander. You're not a real NFL fan if you're not watching the Dolphins face a 2nd and 4 at their own 24-yard line.
Exactly.
Is that basically the idea?
I mean, like that, yeah.
There's been talk. Hey, could ESPN try to make a college football red zone? They've said they want to do it. Like, yes, it'd be awesome, but it's way too hard because there's way too many networks involved. There's a lot of games. Sirius XM, by the way, on radio, that's another one. Sirius XM radio does a very good version of that, where they will jump around to games all the time. One of their channels does it. Highly recommend.
I feel like that would drive me crazy because you can't see it.
Well, that's what radio is, Ubben, So
I know, like but you like red zone when they switch to a game, like especially if I've been watching all day, like I know the context and like I have my fantasy app up, like I saw tracking all the games and so I know the context when it comes up. But like if you're jumping around on radio for college, like I would lose a lot of context and I would just feel like I would hate that.
Well, they do a good job, and that's actually something that's pretty valuable while you're driving somewhere.
Mhm.
So we recommend that. Good question, though. Send any emails, questions to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. And with that, it's time to get into our game previews. An update on the scores, the pick'ems. So Ubben and I, we pick a lot of games here, but we don't. Not all the games go into our picks on the Athletic. But on our picks on the Athletic, I went 5-4 last week. David went 3-6. We are now tied. We are both 17-17 on the year, and we got a recommendation from listener Addie for the overall picks record. Whoever loses gets a tattoo of the turnover chain. What do you think?
I'm a tattoo guy. Do you have any tattoos? Because I don't think you do. Do you?
I do have a tattoo.
What do you have?
I have the Superman logo on my back right shoulder blade.
It's supposed to be on your chest.
No, I mean, you got to keep it a secret. I actually, one of my cousins was in town this week, and he has quite a few. And I've been meaning to get a couple more. My wife's got a few. You're not a tattoo guy, though?
Not a tattoo guy. Not like, not existentially, but more just I need something. Nothing has like spoken to me in a way that I'm like, oh, I want to get that, immortalized on my body. I'm not.
That's why that's why I got, Superman logo. It's self-explanatory. It means a lot to me. I've gotten many a compliment on it at the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple other ideas. Anyway, no, we're not getting a tattoo of the turnover chain.
I'm not doing that.
But I do like the idea. Let's think about this. We got a couple of weeks.
Some sort of thing.
Maybe the winner gets the turnover. Maybe the winner gets the turnover chain, like for the next year. I don't know.
I love the turnover chain.
You like having it.
I will say, did you see my guy David Hale, him and Andrea Adelson at the ACC network? He lost their picks last year, and his punishment was spending 24 hours in a Buc-ee's in Daytona, Florida. Yep. Incredible punishment. I saw him at the Charlotte UNC game. I was asking him about the experience, and it was a punishment, but it was also like sort of enjoyable. And he got to play with some brisket, I think. And it was, he talked to a lot of random people. Also, I didn't realize Buc-ee's does not allow truckers.
There's a sign when you come in. There's like a sign that says like no trucks.
I'm sure that's
like,
I mean,
not
I know
like
that's the case.
never
thought about it.
You're talking about like 18 wheelers, not like pickup trucks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are specific gas stations for those. Correct. So we'll think of something. I mean, we're tied right now. So now's a good time. We can both agree on something.
Yeah.
But if anybody
if you
else
got an idea, hit us up. Leave us a 5-star review, email, tweets, whatever. I'm open to suggestions. We'll hear. I'm not going to do any body modification for the picks, but I'm open to some sort of punishment. We'll see.
What about growing your hair out for like a month?
Dude, nobody wants that, especially my wife. It's not good. It's not good. You ever see Jerry Rice with the cornrows that started like here? That's what we're gonna be getting if we do that. We're not doing it.
Maybe I shave the beard or you grow the hair out. I mean, it's kind of
well, the facial hair is. I'm just not a very hairy person in general. The facial hair is worse because my mustache does not connect to anything, so it's just like a trash stash, and then it's like patchy on the cheeks.
Right, this is the point. Yeah, that's the
really
point of
bad. I gotta keep the whole thing tight, otherwise it's a bad situation.
Maybe I can swing. Maybe I swing it. I shave my beard if you lose. You grow everything out for a month if you lose. We'll think about it. If people like that idea, let us know. It doesn't really work for audio, but for the people listening or people watching on YouTube, it might work better. All right, let's talk about the actual games now. And we're going to do this
first game. I'm hyped. I'm hyped for this one. I almost went to this one.
The order in which we're going to do this, we're going to do a game of the week for the Power Four and the Group of Five, and then get into the other games. And we're going to start with Big 12 game of the week. Texas Tech at Utah. Game is at noon Eastern on Fox. It's the big noon kickoff, but it's not at noon. It's at 10 a.m. local time in Utah. Going to get up pretty early, Ute fans. I was trying to think like
the on time slot. They did this like 2 or 3 times to Colorado. I hated it. I'm getting up at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I was trying to think like earliest I ever played games. Like I used to play hockey games at like 9 in the morning. We used to have youth hockey practice at 6 a.m. But games, they wouldn't do
No.
games until 9 a.m. What's the earliest you ever? I mean, golf, you usually get out there pretty early. But did you do anything?
Golf doesn't really count. I mean, tournaments are, you might go first tee at 8, but like if I'm playing in a tournament and I gotta like tee time, like shotgun start at 8, like I'm getting to the course at like 6:15. You got, like, if you're playing a tournament, you gotta like get through your rep. But like basketball, there's 9, 10 a.m.s like Saturday, but that's just like youth ball.
Suck it up, college football players. This is what the this is what the college football playoff and the TV revenue realignment money. This is why you're getting it now.
This is an actual problem though, because so I mentioned the Colorado thing. One of those games was USC, and I talked to some people at USC. I stayed at the team hotel the time that they played in 23. Talking to some USC people, their wake up call was 3:30 Pacific. Like, that's not healthy for anybody. Like, and there's nothing you can really do about it because that's 4:30 their time. You got to eat breakfast. You have some brief team meetings. You get on the bus. You got to drive an hour from Denver to get to Boulder or whatever, 45 minutes. Like, it was like that's a bad experience for kids. And, shout out to the Utah guys. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure their wake up call is not going to be much later. So,
and not a lot of time to tailgate either for fans. So this is a fascinating game because both of these teams have looked really good against very lopsided competition. They've blown out everybody they've played. Even the UCLA game for Utah means nothing now. And, the thing I'm most interested in this game, does Texas Tech's defensive line, which they portaled, which has been very good, how does that look against the Utah offensive line that is among the best in the country? Can Texas Tech generate a pass rush? Can they get to Devin Dampier, who has been very good so far, the New Mexico transfer quarterback? That's what I'm looking for. Dave, what are you looking at in this game?
I just so both of these teams, first of all, I suspect we're going to see this game again in December.
That's the other thing. It might be the Big 12's game of the year. Like,
yes,
maybe we may be getting
3 weeks. These teams haven't really been tested. We don't know how good these teams are. But if you woke me up in December and you said, "Hey, it's the Big 12 championship game. Both of these teams are in the top 10," I would absolutely believe you. Like, there is a lot of upside for both of these two teams. I know there's a lot of skepticism around the Texas Tech money issue and all that stuff. Like, can this work? Will they get all like? That's going to be a huge test this weekend. But so far, it's looked like it's gone pretty well. And these are. I just think these two teams might be really like two best teams in the country that nobody's talking about. 3 weeks.
It's because they haven't played anybody, and now they finally will.
I'm not saying you should be, but I'm just saying these teams might be really, really, really good.
Yeah, like I've had Texas Tech fans asking why I don't have them ranked. The reason that you're not ranked is because you haven't played anybody. But now you will, and now you will adjust accordingly. And you could lose this game and move up, as happened with Tennessee. So it's just how it goes. Texas Tech's offense, very explosive. Morton, the quarterback, has looked very good, looks healthy again. Utah's offense has been very efficient. They're not very explosive, but they are consistently having very long drives. And when they get to the red zone, they finish drives in the end zone. Now, they missed a bunch of field goals against Wyoming last week, and that's why the game was a bit closer than maybe it should have been for a period there. But I'm very curious, is Texas Tech going to get explosive plays? Are they going to go tempo with the altitude? Is Utah going to be able to kind of take the air out of the ball in one of those situations where the best offense or the best defense is not having Texas Tech's offense on the board? So I think this is a fascinating matchup of styles. Two teams we think are legit. The battle, it's weird to say for a Texas Tech game, but I think the battle in the trenches is going to be really good.
Oh, yeah.
Very curious how that goes. Devin Dampier, quarterback at Texas Tech. He had a lot of interception problems last season. He has not yet this year, but he also hasn't played anybody of note. How does Texas Tech's back end look? That was the one part of this Texas Tech team when you talked to Joey McGuire, they were a little concerned about the back end of the defense. Then again, Utah's receivers, we didn't really know much coming in, and we still don't really know much. So can Utah get a passing game going in this game? I'm going to pick Utah to win and to cover the 3.5. I think the early start time, I think the home field, and I think just this is a program that's been through it before. And I think I like their offensive line more than I like Tech's defensive line. I'm going to go Utah.
I trust Kyle Whittingham more in these close games. I think it's going to be close. Rice Eccles, most underrated road venue in the country?
Probably. Not a night game, but still.
Not a lot of folks going in there and coming out having a great time. Go ask Florida. So I'm going to go Utah as well. But I talked to Texas Tech people. They were, you mentioned it, Chris. They were excited about this defensive line, but this was the game that they circled. Spencer Fano, maybe the best offensive lineman in the country. Like, they felt like this game was going to tell them, did this work? Is this working? And I don't know that you even have to win this game to learn that. But if you do win that, but if there are any Texas Tech fans in your life, they are about to be insufferable if they win this game. Because Texas Tech fans, they're excited about the team and the money and all that stuff. But, I haven't heard a lot of crowing because they haven't done anything, and there's a lot of skepticism about it. And, this is kind of the first, told you so if they can get it. But I'm taking Utah to win this game and cover. So,
all right. We're going to go to the SEC game of the week, where I will be Norman, Oklahoma, Auburn at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 6.5-point favorite. Game's at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. It's an interesting game because the line has kind of gone up and down a bit. It's currently back up to being Oklahoma pretty high. Injury note, Eric Singleton, the star Auburn receiver transfer from Georgia Tech. He is questionable with a hip pointer. That's the Wednesday night injury report. He hurt his hip against South Alabama. Also, Oklahoma's best pass rusher, R. Mason Thomas, missing the first half of this game for targeting. It is also, of course, the Jackson Arnold revenge game. Former Oklahoma quarterback. Things went terrible last year. A lot of which wasn't his fault. He had no receivers. He had an injured offensive line. The OC situation was a mess. But they benched him early last year. Feelings were hurt, and they never really got on the same page. He transfers out as Ben Arbuckle comes in, and everybody knows he's going to try to get John Mateer. So far, I think both sides are pretty happy with this divorce. I think Oklahoma likes where they're at. I think Jackson Arnold's been solid enough so far. Dave, what are you looking for in this game?
I haven't heard a lot of spicy talk in the Jackson Arnold stuff, but I think in a game like this, the reality is Jackson Arnold was not really set up for success for a bunch of reasons last year. The coordinator situation was not going great. The receivers were hurt. I think he definitely was scapegoated for a lot of issues Oklahoma had. But I apologize to Oklahoma on the Saturday night show, so I am obligated to take the Sooners here. I think the Sooners get it done at home. Auburn, man, this would be really impressive if they can win this. I just don't know that they're battle tested enough to walk into Oklahoma where, I got to look at the talent composite here, but Oklahoma probably more talented than Auburn by a little bit. That's going to be a tough ball game. So I'm going to go Sooners here to win and cover.
You mentioned no spicy talk from Jackson Arnold or anything about that. Pull back the curtain a little bit. I got a little bit of that from some of his high school coaches, but I was unable to write the story this week because of my grandma's funeral situation. So if Auburn wins, I've got some quotes that I'm going to use in the story. So keep an eye on that.
Auburn, by the way, 13th in team talent composite. Oklahoma 14th. So toss up.
Oklahoma still can't run the ball, and that is a big problem. Jaden Ott is still not playing very much. I think it's a mix of him being banged up and him also just not really fitting in this offense yet and not fully kind of knowing what they're doing. That's a concern for Auburn. That's a concern for Oklahoma. Auburn, on the other, meanwhile, their pass numbers are not what you expected it to be, given those two wide receivers, Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, and Jackson Arnold. Now, you could say the first game, Baylor dared them to run the ball. Auburn kept running the ball, and it worked. It won you the game. This offense was not great against South Alabama last week. And so that is, if I'm Oklahoma, I think I sell out to stop the run and make Jackson Arnold beat you with his arm. I mean, theoretically, Oklahoma's got all the tape on Jackson Arnold you could possibly want. You know what he struggles with. You know what he couldn't quite pick up in practice. I imagine Brent Venables is going to have a lot for him there. The other part of it is on the Auburn side, their pass defense has not been good for whatever reason. There's some veteran guys there. They have not done a very good job stopping the pass. And I feel like this is going to be a big John Mateer passing game. Like they were able to move the ball through the air against Michigan in a way that I was kind of surprised by.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we get that as well. I'm going to go Oklahoma to win and cover, but this is such a fascinating game. We thought coming into the year, possibly like this could be Hugh Freeze, Brent Venables, both guys coaching for their jobs, coming into this. That's not the case. I think both teams
it's kind of we take the winner very seriously in terms of winning the ACC.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a must win for either of them, but it's one you really want to have. So should be a really good game. ACC game of the week. Florida at Miami. I know Florida's not the ACC. We're still a non-conference. It is what it is. This is where College Game Day is going to be, which is very funny considering everything that's happened. Notable here, well, not really notable, but kind of funny. Florida assistant Jabbar Jalouk, I think he's the running backs coach, suspended 3 games for his role in a pregame scuffle with LSU. It looked like he might have slapped a Florida player or an LSU player or something like that. 3 games for an assistant is a lot.
Pretty serious. I didn't see video of what he did. There must have been some pretty corroborating.
That's a lot of games.
3 games is pretty serious for that.
Yeah.
Especially you see those little pregame things there's one a weekend and they never amount to anything. So there must have been something pretty nasty.
Yeah. And it's also funny because Jalouk he's a Louisiana guy. He's a longtime high school coach in New Orleans, spent some time at LSU and Louisiana Tech. But anyway, I don't think it's going to play a factor in the game, but a notable thing there. Florida's defense, for all the talk about Billy Napier, his job, DJ Lagway, Florida's defense has been really good. Even without much of a pass rush. They couldn't rush the passer against USF or LSU, and yet they're still holding LSU to 20 points, one of which was a pick 6. You really held them to 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, Florida's D, there's a shot they keep them in this game, but I think it's possible Miami is just better at almost every spot. I'd probably take, Ball at running back over what Miami's got, but as a team, you said on the last show,
really?
but we haven't seen a lot of Fletcher yet. So, what do you think about this game?
I think it's a great buy low spot on Florida. I think Miami slightly overvalued and not quite as dynamic as they were with Cam Ward. Florida undervalued. Everybody thinks Florida sucks. They don't suck. They've lost games.
I think 7. I think 7.5 is actually a bit. Sorry, Miami's a 7.5 point favorite. Games at 7:30 on ABC. I feel like 7.5 is actually complimentary to Florida. People would probably think it would be more.
Florida's undervalued. I'm taking Florida in this game. I think Miami wins it, but I think it's close. I think it's a tight game. It can't be worse. And you just went into Death Valley, had your nightmare game, and you lost by 10 to a really good LSU team. I think Florida can win this game. I think it will be tight. And if it's tight, look out. Game management.
I was going to say, which team has the game? Which team has the game management advantage? Is it Billy Napier or is it Mario Cristobal?
I think we all do because we get to watch whatever happens. It's going to be hilarious. So I like Florida to keep this close. Give me the Gators in a buy low spot here. I mean, what's the money breakdown from betting? I bet you Miami's getting 90% of the money. I'm guessing. So
I don't have that in front of me. I like Miami, but 7.5 is not a blowout.
you would think. Though.
Well, it depends if you go for 2. I think people would think Miami's going to win this handily like they did a year ago or something like that. And I don't think that. I think Miami wins, but I think they win by 10,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Miami. Curious how Carson Beck looks against this Florida defense that he's pretty familiar with too.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a factor in there. Group of 5 game of the week. Tulane at Ole. Yes, this is ahead of the Big Ten. I know. Group of 5 game of the week. Tulane at Ole Miss, because I find this game fascinating. Ole Miss 11.5 point favorite. 3:30 Eastern. ESPN. Austin Simmons expected to start. It sounds like, but I think Ole Miss's defense might be bad, And Ole Miss has failed to cover against Arkansas, and they failed to cover against Kentucky, partially because of a late field goal. But what are your thoughts on this game?
So Ole Miss last year was really pretty nasty. I mean, I think Nick Saban was on Game Day talking about like he felt like they were the team that you don't want to see in the SEC. We haven't really seen that from them. I think mostly the defensive front last year and what they were able to do what was pretty fearsome. We haven't seen that. I don't think they're terrible. I think Arkansas's offense and Taylor Green, I think, are better than people think. But they haven't really played anybody or beat anybody, so nobody's talking about them. I think Arkansas is going to put up a lot of points on a lot of people. But I also think Tulane is really tough, and they're the best G5 team on the line of scrimmage, in part because that's just how John Summerall operates. I think they keep this close. I think Ole Miss is a little bit overrated this year. Tulane flirts with winning this ball game, but they definitely cover the 11.5. That's a big number, and they will cover that, I think, pretty easily. That's an inflated number. I'm not sure why that's where it is.
I do wonder, though, if it's kind of like the USF thing where it's like, can you get up for another Power 4 game? Tulane is coming off of games against Northwestern week 1. Last week was Duke.
I think it's different, though. That like USF, like those games are physical in a way that I don't know that Northwestern and Duke are going to test you in the same way that like USF going up against Florida is going to test you. I don't, and Boise. It feels a little bit different. I think Florida and Boise is just different than Duke and Northwestern. And I think Tulane too, they were sniffing this game in New Orleans. Was it last year or 2 years ago where it was like closer than you would think? So
they pulled away. They pulled away late because I think Michael Pratt got hurt.
Yes.
Was it Kai Horton came in that game?
I think Pratt got hurt early in the game. I think he was
that
lineup,
sounds right.
But I like them in this game. I like them in this matchup.
I think about Tulane, their run defense has not been very good this year. And so I think if Ole Miss is going to win this game and win it the way they should, they need to do it by running the ball. Will they? I don't know. I'm going to go with Tulane covering. I know it's on the road, but it's a lot of points for an Ole Miss team that I don't trust. An Ole Miss team that has played Kentucky and Arkansas closer than you think they would. Taylor Green also ran around a ton on them on Ole Miss's defense, and this could be a big Jake Retzlaff running the ball type of day because like he's getting better in the passing game as he's kind of getting acclimated to the team since he joined in fall camp. But he's been running the ball like crazy, so I think we'll see a lot of that as well. I'm going to go Tulane as well. Big Ten game of the week: Illinois at Indiana, 7:30 Eastern, NBC. Indiana's a 5.5-point favorite. I have no context to have feelings on Indiana right now because they've played Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Yes, they are top 15 in yards per carry and yards per attempt, but like, look who you've played. And all the Indiana fans tweeting me pictures of Fernando Mendoza in reply to me saying that there aren't any star quarterbacks playing well this year. Let's see it now, okay? If Fernando Mendoza has an amazing game against Illinois and beats them handily, all right, I'll be on the Indiana train. I'm just not going to do that until I see something. There's too many new parts on this team for me to have an opinion of this team yet. So I think 5.5 for a team we don't know anything about is a lot. What do you think about this game?
Well, I think the same Indiana team, like they're not wrong, but I will say Indiana just beating the heck out of teams is not really how Indiana has gotten down historically. This is a very new concept. And so
they've always blown out Indiana State, though.
Sure, but they look a lot like they did last year, where I remember watching them. I think they played a Friday night game against Indiana State last year, and I was like, Indiana, all right. Like, yeah, okay, that doesn't mean that much, but we'll see. I don't know what to make of these two teams. I think there's a lot more continuity on the Illinois side. This is one of those where I think both teams can win this game by double digits. Man, this is going to be a fun game. I don't know that it's going to be the prettiest game in the world. Will the Indiana haters, will they count this as a quality win if they win this? Because there seemed to be this idea that Indiana beat nobody last year and lost only 2 games that were relevant.
Here's my hesitation on Illinois, although I'll say they're not running the ball well at all. They are also +6 in turnover margin and have not turned the ball over this year. So, I mean, I think 5 of those might have been against Duke, but like they've had some turnover luck so far. Like, do a couple things go their way? Do you have 2 turnovers in this game and it sets you behind? I think, Illinois looked good in that win against Duke, but then Duke went and kind of got dominated by Tulane. So it's another situation of like, I don't totally yet know what Illinois. I mean, I think Luke Altmaier has played very well this year, but I haven't seen enough yet to form a really strong opinion about either of these teams. I'm going to go Illinois. But like you said, I could see this going any which way. Like I really could. So we'll see.
I'm going to take the Hoosiers and Sig Nasty, and I'll lay the points. I think Indiana wins this game and wins it enough to cover 7 to 10 points.
Okay. We're going to go to other notable games here outside of conference games of the week. Arkansas at Memphis, noon Eastern ABC. This isn't really relevant to the game, but did you see what Ryan Silverfield, the coach, kind of took a random shot at Georgia the other day?
Some call it random shot. Some call it accurate. I don't know.
So he was talking. It looked like it might have been on his coach's or something. He was kind of asked kind of what he does on Sundays after games to get ready for game week. And he goes, quote, "Generally on a Sunday afternoon when we meet with the team, we do 2 things. We always start off with not our standard, always start out with a negative. And then the not our standard is Georgia wide receiver arrested for driving 900 miles over the speed limit. That's a weekly occurrence. So that's one we'll show." Like, just, all right, we're not playing Georgia this week, but Ryan Silverfield, very witty coach for anybody who knows him. He's got some zingers. So anyway, there's that. So Arkansas's offense looks really good, as we would expect. The defense also looks really bad. I think Memphis running back Sutton Smith, a player to watch in this game. He's at over 6 yards per carry. This game's at the Liberty Bowl, but it's the under construction Liberty Bowl in Memphis. It's not the whole stadium here. But, Arkansas played Ole Miss very close last week. I don't know if that's Ole Miss. I don't know if that's Arkansas. Dave, what do you think?
Well, there'll be a lot of Arkansas fans at this. There are a lot of Arkansas fans in Memphis as well.
Yes.
Hogs got to be careful here. I don't know what to make of this Memphis team. Obviously, when you have a team that there's a winning culture there, they have high expectations. They talk about standards like that. That's something that in a close game, I think, can show. Arkansas's got to be careful here. I think Arkansas wins this, but I'm gonna reluctantly take Memphis to cover. Their offense, going from Seth Hennigan to Brendan Lewis, is like a little bit of whiplash. Like, we just have seen what Memphis has been for a long time, and they look very different. So I think this is going to be a lot of points in this ball game. I don't know. Arkansas, I just think that the defense catches up for them, and they give let a backdoor cover here. So give me Memphis and the points, 7.5 there.
It's a very different Memphis offense. You've got Brendan Lewis at quarterback. He's rushed. He hasn't rushed a ton, but including sacks, he's over 6 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Hasn't thrown it all that much. Completing 73% of his passes, 8 yards per carry, but just 2 touchdowns. So he's been fine, but they also really haven't played anybody of note. I'm very hesitant to put my faith in Brendan Lewis, gets
this is my number one. I'm not a huge fan either, but I think if you can figure out what he is and use what he does and, use the quarterback run game, don't ask him to be Tom Brady. I think you can play some winning football there. So I don't know. This is one where like Memphis could win, but I could also see Arkansas winning like 41-17. I could see that happening. So
yeah, and Ole Miss didn't run the ball very well against Arkansas at all. I don't know if that's Ole Miss or I don't know if that's Arkansas run defense, because there's a chance maybe Sutton Smith has a pretty big game. I'm gonna go Arkansas. I just think they have so much firepower that I don't know if Memphis can keep up. So I'm gonna go Arkansas. Heading over to Lincoln, Nebraska. Michigan at Nebraska, 3:30 Eastern ABC. Michigan, a 2.5-point favorite. Sharon Moore suspended for the week. Now, he was suspended for the game last week, but that suspension started like midnight the day of the Central Michigan game, and it ends midnight after this Nebraska game. So he is suspended this full week. Biff Poggi taking over. He's fully running things this week. But Michigan is pretty used to working with suspended coaches. It happens seemingly every other game. They have a head coach out and somebody else is running the thing. They're very used to this. Nebraska's defense, top 10 in SP plus. Really quietly, they've been that's factoring in competition and everything. It's not just because Cincinnati. But I am curious, like, Biff Poggi really kind of let Bryce Underwood be aggressive last week. They kept him in for a while. He kind of sounded like, that game plan at Oklahoma, we know it wasn't a good game plan and we're not going to do that again, was my take on it. So that'll be a very fascinating matchup. What do you think?
I don't trust this Nebraska team, especially in close games. Obviously, I think
they've won their last two. They've won their last two one-score games: the bowl game and the Cincinnati game.
Well, Michigan's better than Cincinnati. Cincinnati, we weren't really sure what to make of coming into the season. Michigan's better. I think Oklahoma might be really good, but Michigan gets the job done here. Wins this game on the line of scrimmage. I think Oklahoma's defense is better than Nebraska's, and this is not quite the same test, even though you're going on the road again. I think that Oklahoma, both the road environment, the defensive matchup, I think you can learn some stuff, take some stuff away from that. Michigan wins and covers here.
I'm going to go Nebraska. I think, everything you did to get Dylan Raiola to show up, everything that Matt Rule's been trying to build, bringing in offensive playmakers like Dane Key, it's all for this moment. Like, this is the moment Nebraska can show everybody we are taking that next step. You got over the hump to get to the bowl game. Can you be more than that this year? I think this is where you do it. I don't think Michigan's line has been as good as it has been in the past, especially the offensive line.
Would this be the biggest win for Matt Rule at Nebraska? Probably, right?
Gotta be. He didn't make a bowl game the first year. I think
maybe Colorado last year, that win aged well. It was more impressive in retrospect than it was in the moment.
Yeah, it was. But in terms of I guess that was kind of that felt like a statement win for Nebraska, even though we didn't think anything of Colorado at the time. I think this would be
9 games. So.
Right, but at the time we just thought that was Colorado sucks.
Yeah,
which they didn't. So I think Nebraska gets it done here. I still don't think Michigan has enough weapons offensively in the passing game. It works against Central Michigan, but they have really hard time getting dudes open. And I think I like Nebraska, especially as the underdog. Give me Nebraska straight up. Missouri versus South Carolina, 7:00 Eastern, ABC. Missouri is an 11.5-point favorite, which is very much a line that tells you they don't think Lenora Sellers is going to play. The injury report came out on Wednesday night. He was listed as questionable. And I think Pete Thamel reported it's getting closer. Like Shane Beamer has always said, if you don't practice Tuesday, Wednesday, you don't play. So I'm kind of leaning toward Sellers is probably going to play.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
I mean, he's coming out of check.
He's coming. By the way, he's coming out of concussion protocol because he got a hit to the head in the last game.
This was like a pretty big gut check game. Anytime you can conceivably, for a good and talented team, build up this sort of us against the world mentality for a team like South Carolina that's got a bunch of dudes. I think that can be productive. This is a lot of points, man. A lot of points. And we still don't really know what Missouri is. The Kansas game was impressive because I really thought Kansas was probably a top 25, top 20 team. We'll see if they are. Maybe they are, and Missouri's just that good. But I think coming off of that last week, South Carolina has talent. There has to be a lot of anger there. They can win up front. This is too many points. I think if you're looking for a really valuable dog, like South Carolina, I don't know what the money line is. It's probably in the 300s. I would say that's one I would jump out to me. I'm taking South Carolina here in the points. Too many points. If Missouri's covering this, Missouri might just be borderline wagon status. They're just rocking people. But that first half against KU kind of still sticks in my mind for Missouri. I don't know that Missouri is quite this dominant.
Yeah, like this all depends if Lenore Sellers, like in real life, I'm not touching this game because I don't know what Lenore Sellers is actually doing. If he doesn't play, I'm taking Missouri in the points because I don't think South Carolina has as much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Doty's got experience, but he looked really kind of lost in the Vandy game. I mean, part of that is game script, and you're behind, and you're trying to kind of press. But man, he looked bad in that game.
Yeah, if Sellers plays, it's a whole different thing. So we just have to see how he plays. But like we said, earlier, I'm liking Missouri more and more week to week, and South Carolina. Like, yeah, you lost to Vanderbilt. Yes, Lenore Sellers didn't play, but 31-7. It's not like you know kept it close, and that would have been the difference. And Diego Pavia played very well in that game. And Vandy actually did not run the ball very well in that game.
I will say there's
one
a
explosive
world
run.
Like there's a lot of South Carolina skepticism that like I will hear because they need.
You were the one. Wait. You were the one driving the train in the offseason that you thought everybody was overrating Lenore Sellers.
Yes, but I will say he really did impress me in person in the Virginia Tech game. But you look at them, Virginia Tech. Obviously the wheels kind of came off there. They struggled with them in week 1. Haven't looked great since then, and then you get dominated by Vandy. Like if you're like a South Carolina hater and you're like screaming this team's gonna go 6-6, like I'll listen to it. I think they're more talented than that, but this could be a game that like, if Missouri wins this thing like 37-13, like South Carolina is knocking on the door of like nightmare season. And
yes,
I will say, Shane Beamer's been kind of defensive about his OC hires. The Mike Shula hire is not looking fantastic.
People are not happy about it.
No.
Michigan State at USC. This game is at 11 o'clock Eastern for Michigan State fans, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Like we talked about Utah playing at 10 a.m. local time. This is just bad for fans, man. Like you should not for a Midwest school be having to watch your team at this time. And this just goes like the conference realignment era, all this stuff, all these things these schools and leagues are doing for money. It's not good for fans. It is a problem. And I don't want to hear it from Michigan State or USC administrators, the people who voted to let this happen. The Big Ten knew what it was doing when it added 2 teams from the freaking West Coast into your Midwest football conference.
And then 2 more.
And then 2 more. Like, this is what you signed up for. This is what Fox is paying for. And the fans have every right to be upset about it.
Is your dad going to stay up and watch this game, Chris?
Absolutely. He'll probably wake up before it ends. I mean, he gets up at like 5 a.m. Most of the time. That's partly why he doesn't like night games. But this stuff isn't good for fans, man. It's a very real problem. As for the game itself, USC is an 18.5-point favorite. I think this could be a very, very high scoring game. Michigan State's defense is not very good based on what we've seen, but I think the offense is pretty darn good. Aiden Childs seems to have taken a next step. He's not turning the ball over like he was. And this could be a game that gets into like the 40s and 30s and stuff like that. And Michigan State keeps it close. Jaden Maiava, the way he's playing, is it real? Is it not? USC hasn't played anybody of note. You've played Georgia Southern, Purdue, and Missouri State. And one of your scores against Purdue, by the way, was a big man pick 6. So
yeah.
But Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, receivers, they've looked very, very good. 18.5 is a ton, but this is classic. Big Ten school goes west, and those usually never work out. What do you think?
I need an intervention, Chris, because I'm starting to be a little USC curious. I'm like, who's leading the country in passer rating right now, Chris? Do you know?
Is it someone who hasn't played a team with a pulse?
Well, it depends on what you think of Purdue, but it's our guy Jaden Maiava, UNLV transfer. I'm wondering if Lincoln got his swagger back a little bit.
Got the number one recruiting class right now too.
I know my head is telling me don't do it, and my head is telling me that this is going to come crashing down, and that he's been really disappointing. But give me USC here. I will lay the points. I think the Trojans, for the 8 people still up watching this game, I think they win this and cover it like 51-20.
This is the start of a real stretch for USC when we figure out what they are, because it's Michigan State, then at Illinois for a noon Eastern game. That's a 9 a.m. Pacific game. So at Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska. So
Watch those body clocks, fellas. Watch those body clocks.
And then Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA. So no Ohio State, no Penn State. It's a very favorable schedule this year for USC, and they might have the team to do it. 18.5 is so much because I do think Michigan State.
That's what I'm saying, though. That doesn't make sense to me, and that's why I'm like, I think Vegas knows something. I think Vegas is daring people to take Michigan State here, and USC covers it easily and kind of gets people talking.
I think people are. I think Vegas knows that every time a Big Ten team goes out west, especially for a night game, it always goes horribly. Remember that time Wisconsin lost at Arizona State because they couldn't get the spike off? Was that
a Mike Bercovici special? I believe it was.
I got into college football in 2003. Michigan went out to Oregon and lost. I'm just like, when you grow up in Big Ten country, whenever you played that early season Pac-10 game late, it never went well. 18.5 is so much.
When Herm Edwards beat Mark D'Antonio. That was like that was one where maybe question my reality of like, did that really happen? Did I just watch that?
That was another weird game. I mean, like, I don't know what Nick Marsh's status is for Michigan State right now, I guess, but I don't know what to think of USC's defense because they haven't played anybody yet. I'm gonna reluctantly go Michigan State because I do think they can like keep it like not from being a 30-point game, basically. Like I can't see Michigan State scoring, like fewer than 17 in this game.
Yeah, probably.
And so that gets USC up to like 35. But USC getting over. I mean, look, Michigan State gave up 40 to Boston College, but that was an overtime game. Youngstown State, USC is going to put up a lot. I also wonder if they're going to be able to, if they're going to kind of do the thing where they try to take the air out of the ball, slow it down, keep USC off the field. Like Jonathan Smith is usually pretty good at that. So I'll say Michigan State covers, USC wins. I'm really going to try to shoot. I'll probably catch some of that game on my drive home from
This
Oklahoma.
Is the kind of game that I will stay up and watch, and I will regret it in the morning. But
you live on Eastern time now. Yeah, that's gonna be a 2:30 like ending time for you.
Oh, believe me, I know.
All right. Arizona State at Baylor, 7:30 Eastern on Fox. Baylor is a 2.5-point favorite. Fascinating game. Huge Big 12 game. Arizona State's whole passing offense seems to just be Sam Levitt to Jordan Tyson. But the running back, Raleek Brown, has been very good. 8.3 yards per carry this year. Keep an eye on that. And then Sawyer Robertson, the Baylor quarterback, quietly playing very, very well. We're going to have if they had
beaten Auburn, he'd be in the Heisman conversation. He's putting up some crazy numbers.
He's putting up some really good numbers. I think I'm not sure. Baylor's defense has not been good, and they're not really running the ball very well either. Arizona State's been very up and down. The Mississippi State falling behind really just kind of messes up your whole game script and stuff like that. They got back on track, looked very good against Texas State. Baylor got the win at SMU. Another one of those high scoring games could go either way. I guess it feels like a toss up game, and if you're giving me Arizona State 2.5 points, you probably just want to take that in a game you think is a coin flip.
I don't know. I'm going to reluctantly go Baylor. I've had a lot of Arizona State skepticism. I think just in these Big 12 games, man, where it's a coin flip every time. I might just ride the home team in the Big 12 all year because there's some really underrated crowds. Like Baylor, underrated is a tough place to play. A lot of these Big 12 places, man, you don't want to mess around when those places get amped up. So I'm going to go Baylor, just home field advantage and Arizona State skepticism. And they won a bunch of these close games last year. I think they're going to start losing a few. So
I'm going to go Arizona State. I think they run the ball well in a way that Auburn potentially was able to. Oregon State at Oregon. Just mentioning this because this is the last Civil War game on the schedule, which sucks. I don't like this rivalry going away. A lot of classics. I know they're kind of not on the same level now because Oregon and what Oregon State has fallen down to, but really good rivalry. Please bring it back. The Apple Cup is also this week. Washington State. Another game I don't think it's going to be close, but they're at Washington State. This is a series that is scheduled to play for the next handful of years. That is good. Hope that keeps going.
Is Oregon State gonna Deshaun Foster Trent Bray?
I mean, I don't think he's an alum, but I think everybody understands the situation he's in, and so you
gotta be competitive though, man. Some bad losses and you're not competitive. That's
right. But there's no point in firing the guy now. You're not in the Big Ten where you gotta like figure. You're going into essentially the Mountain West 2.0 next year, so you got time to figure it out. Another rivalry that is going away. SMU at TCU, noon Eastern, ESPN2. It's the last Iron Skillet game. They've played 103 times over 110 years.
Play this game, guys.
They've rarely been good at the same time, and now that they finally are, is when they're not playing. Now
there's a lot of juice. Sunny across town added a lot of juice to this game.
Yeah, so like the decision to end this happened a couple of years ago when SMU was still in the group of 5. And Sonny Dykes was thinking, all right, we don't want to have a group of 5 game on our schedule, or we may have to play a road game. And if we don't get anything for winning it, and we only get, for losing it. But now SMU's in the ACC. They just made the playoff. This is a good game. You get people from Dallas to come. The crowds are great on both stadiums. Like, it's a rivalry that, like, they hate each other. They hate the idea of each other because, again, they've never really had much stuff to really feud over for the last 25 years until Sonny Dykes, did his thing. I covered the game a couple years ago, 22, when Sonny Dykes.
I don't think I've ever covered this game.
When Sonny Dykes came back to SMU for the first time, and there was it was very nasty towards Sonny, which I understand him being upset about. I remember seeing there was a sign that said like he was worse than Osama bin Laden. It was like a bin Laden sign. I remember seeing that at a tailgate or something like that.
I feel like that's not going to hold up to scrutiny, but
no. And I think TCU's AD has kind of alluded to stuff like that as well, saying kind of the toxicity kind of got ramped up a little bit. Like, that's college football, man. Like, Pitt and West Virginia got back to playing each other. That's pretty darn, vitriolic between those two and a lot of these other things. So look, you've got, not that long ago, both of these two teams were in the group of 5, non-BCS, whatever you want to call it. They've both elevated themselves to where TCU's in the national championship game, SMU's in the playoff. They're both power conferences. As someone who lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like, suddenly we've got amazing college football happening in the city, which you didn't have for so long.
No.
And now they're just going to be on 2 different planets. I hate it so much. Please play this game. As for the game itself, going to be a lot of points. The over-under 64.5. I don't know if either of them are going to be able to stop each other. SMU's defense in particular has had some holes. TCU just, again, hasn't really played anybody because we don't think North Carolina's any good.
I saw them in person, and I still am not quite sure.
Yeah, but I thought they were flying out there against North Carolina and playing with a lot of speed, but North Carolina also kind of looked like a high school team.
That was a messy. I mean, North Carolina is going to be, I don't know, the talent's not really there. They're a work in progress. Felt like the defense kind of gave up in the second half. I don't know what to make of them. I'm gonna go SMU here. It's a lot of points, and I don't know that I'm buying TCU yet. So give me SMU plus 6.5.
I think I went TCU. I did my picks on our Google chart just before I got on here. I think I'm going TCU. I think. What did I pick? I'll go TCU. I'll go TCU. It's at TCU. I have concerns about SMU's defense. I'll go TCU. Some other quick games to note, just to point out: James Madison versus Liberty. Fun, like, group of 5 in the state rivalry, different conferences. They just signed a bunch of more games. They're going to be playing this game a bunch over the next kind of 10, 15 years. That's fun, man. Like, group of 5s need to do more stuff like that. I like it. These two fan bases really go at it. 2 of the most online fan bases there are, not only in all of college football.
I think I've missed this. I've missed this. I'm maybe I got to cross them a little bit more.
You've never dealt with either of them?
No.
They're big.
The Jamie Chadwell Liberty thing. It's wobbling.
I got some concerns for sure. But I also have this here because if James Madison wants to get in that playoff picture, you're going to have to win this one to stay alive, because it's right now looking very much like it's an American. Somebody in the American's going to get it. For anybody else, James Madison's got to win this one. NC State versus Duke, another local rivalry game. I don't know if either of these teams are going to be able to stop each other. I think Duke is
No.
giving up like a first down on every other pass attempt or something like that.
I love NC State. They are fun to watch, man. CJ Bailey slinging it. Hollywood Smothers, I think we've given him love on this show. I forget, but I saw him in person in the first game against ECU, and like his first 3 carries, I was like, this guy is like unbelievable. I love this kid.
Yeah.
And I watched them the Wake game Thursday night last week. NC State is a lot of fun. This feels like a Dave Doran 8-9 win special where like I don't know how much of a threat they are against like the elite teams, but they're pretty fun to watch. This is one of the more fun NC State teams in a while.
And if you're suddenly like 4-0, like look out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Cal at San Diego State, notable because Cal's got a schedule coming up here where like just they could start to go on a run here.
Algorithm,
based on how
baby.
Jake Hess is looking, the quarterback, the freshman quarterback who we love, who's playing great. They win at San Diego State, which they should. They'd be 4-0 with the upcoming games against Boston College, Duke, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Virginia. That should be a lot of fun. San Diego State, by the way, is a 10:30 at night game, another game to watch late at night. San Diego State's bringing a ton of former players. They're trying to, former Pac-12 school coming in. They're trying to make it a big thing, kind of get that program going. I, by the way, went 8-5 in my first season with San Diego State in our college football writer blogger dynasty. Won my final 5 games. Sean Lewis knows that I am San Diego State. I didn't want to tell him that I'm doing a pretty good job considering San Diego State is not having a great season. But David, you're representing our Pac-12 with Virginia Tech. You're in the college football playoff. You're in the semifinals.
In the college football playoff. We are getting it done right now. We are marching, and let's just say that Ryan Knight's run at Virginia Tech is going a lot better than Brent Pryde's. We'll leave it at that.
Look, you got more to Kyron Drones than Brent Pryde did, so maybe you should be in that mix. UTSA at Colorado State. This game's here because I think people need to kind of take note of UTSA running back Robert Henry Jr. He is putting up some numbers. He's had 480 rushing yards over 3 games, leads the country, over 10 yards per carry, and that includes playing Texas A&M, where he had a pretty big game. So just keep an eye on Robert Henry. It's not
UTSA gave A&M some headaches. They gave him some headaches early.
Yeah, it's not Ashton Genty numbers, but looks like a really good player. And we're going to close the game preview segment with a new thing we're going to try to do, which is basically just point out the highest and lowest over/under totals of the week and see what we think. The high this week, 69.5, and that's Tennessee versus UAB, which is maybe implying that Tennessee is going to score 70 points, but UAB's kind of been doing pretty all right offensively. What do you think about this?
I think UAB gave up 42 to Alabama State. They gave 28 to Akron. And I think the long ball is back on Rocky Top. Heads up, Blazers. Yikes.
Are we going to hit the over or the under?
That one's going over. Tennessee, I think Tennessee might cover it by themselves, but that one, the Tennessee team total, I don't know what it is, but I might take an eye. Take a closer look at that.
In Tennessee, they blow out those inferior teams. They
when you got an athletic advantage, Tennessee takes care of business, and they're gonna have an athletic advantage in that ball game.
Yeah. The lowest total over under of the weekend is 2 of them, 42.5. We've got Rice versus Charlotte, which I believe is a Thursday night game, and then Buffalo.
I almost went to it. I was thinking about going to see the Scott Abel offense in person, but I will just watch it on my TV.
Yeah, they're not. It's not quite. They're not getting into high gear yet. It's gonna take some time.
I thought they might give Houston some problems, and they did not. And after that game, I've kind of all right, Rice. Let's give it some time.
And also Buffalo Troy, which actually should be a pretty good game. I think both those teams are solid group of 5 teams. Are we taking the under or the over in either of those? I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the under in Rice Charlotte. Having watched Charlotte in person twice, they're a tough watch. Buffalo Troy, I'm going to take the under. 2 good defenses there. I'm going to take the under.
Agree.
In both of these.
I'll take the unders in both. All right. And with that, we're going to end this episode the way we always do. And that is by remembering some guys. And I'm going to start with Utah quarterback Brian Johnson.
All right. Look at that guy.
since we got a big Utah game at home this week, wanted to go with the Ute. Brian Johnson, quarterback of the undefeated 2010 team. They beat Alabama. He was the cover athlete on NCAA Football 10. He's been a coach for a while. They've actually been a pretty good NFL coach. He's now the pass game coordinator with the Washington Commanders. That period of Utah football, Utah and TCU in the Mountain West in like 08 to like 2010, those games were out of control. Those games were awesome. Those teams were fighting for national championship potential. Obviously 2 years. Is that the same year? Is that the same year TCU went to the Rose Bowl? 2010?
Yes.
Yeah. It was 2009.
But that might have been the 2009 Utah season. And then the Rose Bowl might have been in the year 2001. This always confuses me when like the bowl game is the next year, but I remember it.
Yes, it's 2000. No, not 2009. What am I looking at here? 2008 Utah. That's what I'm thinking.
The one that beat Bama, yeah.
Yes. 2008 Utah. It was NCAA. I wrote it down wrong because of the NCAA football year. It was NCAA Football 10, which came out in 09, featured an athlete from 08. So it's Brian Johnson, undefeated 2008 Utah team. I'm sorry. NCAA football years got me
it's all
mixed
very
up.
Confusing.
But that period like 08, but that period of like 08 to 2010 Utah TCU was awesome. I mean, that Utah team that year played number 11 TCU, 13-10 game. Man, that was a number 11 versus number 10. The game was on CBS College Sports.
Wow.
That which became CBSSN. That was people want to complain about we got to have Peacock to watch games, or we got to pay for extra things to buy stuff. Look, it's way easier to watch games than it ever has been before. You used to simply not be able to watch a lot of games. By the way, the next year, TCU number 4, Utah number 16. TCU won that game. And then in 2010, TCU was number 4, Utah was number 6. TCU blew out Utah that year. But man, TCU,
I distinctly
Utah,
remember, Chris, my sophomore year, maybe junior year of college, Mizzou played a road game at Ole Miss, and we just couldn't watch it on TV. Like it wasn't broadcast anywhere. Like that's a thing that was happening. Like crazy.
All of these TCU Utah games that I'm mentioning are on CBS College Sports.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is now CBS Sports Network. There was a top 6 matchup. It was on the CBS Sports Network. Anyway,
that's crazy.
Shout out to Brian Johnson and those Utah teams.
So, Chris, for The Athletic this week, I'm writing about QB revenge games, which are very common now. Less common in the past, obviously. Before we get to the guy that I'm remembering, one of the games, the earliest game that I mentioned, shout out to editor Matt Brown, who referenced this one. Jeff George played in one in 1988. His freshman year. Yes, his freshman year at Purdue, he threw for 4 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. One of our other editors noted that since 1995, only one quarterback has thrown for 4 touchdowns and 15 interceptions in a year. Do you know who that is, Chris? You might get this.
Is it a Big Ten guy?
You better believe it is. Kind of.
Tate Forcier?
Art Sitkowski.
From Rutgers.
Freshman Art Sitkowski, 4 touchdowns, 18 picks. That is a wild stat line. And then the fact that he went on to become like a legit NFL quarterback.
Well, he was at Rutgers and he went to Illinois.
Yes.
So both those guys went to Illinois.
Yes, they did. Anyway, the guy I would like to remember, though, one of the more memorable quarterback revenge games, Brock Berlin.
Yes.
He was the original Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers, 5-star guy, went to Florida, stuck behind Rex Grossman, didn't really work out for him, leaves for Miami. There was some bad blood, some former teammates talking about wanting to make him bleed and hit him in the mouth. They go down 33-10, and then he scores the next 28 points. One of the bigger comebacks in Miami history. That was quite a quarterback revenge game. Brock Berlin, I felt like, just played college football forever. Didn't have a great career. That was probably one of his proudest moments. But in the long history of QB revenge games, which are like just this year, we got Jackson Arnold. We've got the Darian Mensah Duke game, and then we get Daquan Finn actually playing Toledo in November. Like, this is going to be what college football is now, which is, for storyline's sake, is pretty interesting. But this used to just not be a thing at all. And it is very much a thing now. So shout out to Brock Berlin. We remember you. Fun college football player.
I associate him with the end of Miami's dynasty, which is not totally fair. It's obviously not all on him, but that's what I think about.
That's probably Larry Coker a little bit more responsible for that, but Berlin wasn't helping. Yeah.
We got Remember Some Guys nomination from listener Alex Fernando, who says, when I was playing football as a kid, I would always try to mimic my game off of my favorite Husker players. With Nebraska currently ranking number 1 in the nation in passing defense, I wanted to submit defensive back Courtney Grigsby. Remember Some
I thought
guys.
we were about to get a Prince Amukamara reference there. I guess the guy's a little older.
As a short king like myself and David, he was a lockdown corner for Nebraska in the mid 2000s with 3 honorable mention All Big 12 selections, 147 tackles. He was also a returner for Nebraska with 9 returns over 30 yards and a 94-yard touchdown against Kansas State. For a 5'9", 170-pound corner, he was certainly one of my favorites from back in the day. David, you remember him?
Sorry, not really.
Yeah, I know the name. I know the name. I wasn't really in Nebraska at the time. I was a Big Ten guy, but that's the point of the segment. We don't always remember guys, but guys deserve to be remembered. That's why we want you, the listeners, to submit people to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. Thank you for that. Thank you everybody for listening. Got a fun weekend of football coming up. We will be back on Monday to recap week 4 college football. It's coming fast. It's coming hard. Hey, now. That's going to wrap it up here. For David Ubben, I'm Chris Vannini. We will talk to you on Monday.
And bring back the turnover chain in honor of Brock Berlin. You might need it against Florida. We'll see.
If you get a tattoo, then you never have to bring it back. It's always there with you.
Good point.